Thank you for tuning in to our first virtual State of the County here in 2020. In fact, 2020 became a year of many firsts for not only our chamber, but our entire country. Our Chesterfield Chamber, under the leadership of our 2020 Chairman, Scott Gunn, hosted one of the first financial workshops to help shift our businesses as they prepared for uncertainty. These workshops were updated every 2 weeks as the rules of funding changed quicker than our businesses could keep up. Our Chamber Board came together to nurture and serve our members at a greater capacity despite a pandemic. Our team worked regionally with partners to address the needs of businesses right here on the ground in our community. Our Chamber is the connection for business with not only the county, but also education and community. While we all had to pivot in the year of 2020, we remained focused on our 4 key areas: membership, workforce development, league collaboration, and government affairs. In the work of membership, we touched each one of our nearly 600 member enterprises with a phone call within the first 45 days of the pandemic. Early on, a listening ear was needed in order to better understand what our members needed in the way of support. This helped frame our work, which included open access for all businesses, our benefits for nearly 4 months. You see, we were not working for only our member businesses, we were working for all businesses in Chesterfield. This year saw a transition to remote working, which also meant remote managing of teams. And the Chamber was here providing experts like Inspiring HR to help us navigate this uncharted territory. We understood personally the importance of remaining connected to your team and work. This also kept us focused on resilient leadership and providing support for our business owners who may have had to furlough employees for the first time in the lifetime of their business. We offered mental health workshops to address the stress we were all under. The Chesterfield Chamber was there with you, our businesses, and businesses people, helping them along the way. We are focusing not only on leading, but working with our partners, like the county, to ensure businesses in Chesterfield could operate as the state transitioned through executive order phases without additional restrictions locally. We really do have the #1 place to do business right here in Chesterfield County. However, it takes all of us doing our part as a rising tide lifts all boats. We partnered with collaborators around the region, including Chamber RVA and the county, for 2 days of PPE distribution at 8 sites, of which 2 we had here in Chesterfield County. Imagine 40 regional entities coming together for one purpose: helping our business community. While I've mentioned the county in several pieces of work, there is so much that goes unseen, such as our monthly meetings with each of our Board of Supervisors so we can talk through district by district the needs for the business community, such as our monthly meetings with each school board member to help navigate the bridge between employers and education that shift weekly as the pandemic progressed. These conversations take time to build relationships in order to affect progress and make a difference. The Chamber is the relationship our businesses have as the gateway to government and education. That statement was never truer until a pandemic meets you in your path and you work at the hip with county economic development on projects such as Eats to Go, Take It Outside, and Back in Business grants that have funded businesses with the help of CARES dollars. That partnership doesn't happen overnight. It's the relationship that leads to great opportunities for our businesses. Lastly, I'll briefly mention our newest task force of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our Chamber is in the work for the long term, so we continue to work behind the scenes to make life-changing and community-changing impact to serve minority businesses to their greatest need. When we talk about networking and business building, we tell people all the time not to show up and throw up on people, but to listen and learn what people and their business need to thrive. This task force doesn't change that work. In order to serve minority businesses, we have to listen and learn what minority businesses need to thrive. Not until then can we be effective and help catapult equitable access to opportunity. We just recently celebrated 20 years of serving businesses, and our accomplishments are measurable, but the best is yet to come. Thank you for sticking with us for 2020, and cheers to 2021. Next, let me introduce you to my colleague and one of our regional partners Brian Anderson, President and CEO of Chamber RVA, who is, I believe, spending his birthday with us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Danielle. Good evening. I do appreciate my colleague being the one to introduce me tonight. More importantly, helping us co-host this extraordinary event as we listen to Dr. Casey and really all the phenomenal things happening in Chesterfield County. This is one of the highlights of the things we do jointly because we do believe in collaboration. As the regional chamber who works across 9 jurisdictions, we hold true to our values and the work we do, that we can be a collaborator and partner with great partners like Danielle. If you don't know, in the chamber world, there are those that are recognized and are known, and she's certainly one of those that epitomizes a chamber professional. So thank you, Danielle, for your partnership and your friendship. And Dr. Casey, thank you for letting us, as the business community, be such a partner for the county. It does, you know, the public sector is very important. We need all of our elected officials, need all of our first responders, all of our public servants, but we also need the business community to be that other partner that comes to the table to make sure things happen. And we've done that this year. Chamber RVA, the Chesterfield Chamber, and so many others have come together to work on different things that will make this region better, but also Chesterfield County. We had to pivot just like every other organization, and I'm proud of the work that we did in doing so, and also in being able to pivot along with our partners like the Chesterfield Chamber and others. When you look at the mission that we work on, I could spend all night, and I won't do that because that's not why we're here, but just I encourage you to learn more about what we do, because I do think it's important that the business community be a problem solver and be at the table for those types of opportunities. Just as Danielle did, I also want to take the few minutes I have to acknowledge the great work of the county. When you look at how this particular elected body, this particular group of professionals like Dr. Casey, came to the aid of business, came to the aid of small business to make sure that we could be as open as possible, we could do it safely and responsibly, so that we not only protected our citizens and residents and friends and neighbors from the pandemic, we also let the economy continue to do what it could in these difficult times. So again, I want to thank you, Dr. Casey, the leadership you provided, but also working with Garrett and Karen over at the Economic Development Authority. This particular staff at the Chesterfield County, not only from the Economic Development Authority, but the codes inspectors, the permit department, but also our first responders. Everyone chipped in to make sure we could do what we needed to do. And because of that, I think you're going to hear a very uplifting message tonight. So Dr. Casey, thank you to you and your team for being such a great partner. Lastly, I'll just say your elected officials. I'm new here, and I actually do live in Chesterfield County. You've got a great group of elected officials that, again, are committed, they're dedicated. They may not always be right, just like I'm not always right, but they come to work every day to make sure they're looking out for the residents of Chesterfield County, and we thank you all for that. So this time, I'll turn the remarks over to my business colleague, excuse me, Frank Petrusky, as he will also bring comments. Frank?
Thank you, Brian. So I represent the Midlothian Business Alliance, which feels like a lifetime ago, but just this year merged with the Greater Southport Business Association. And for those not familiar with our associations, we came together to serve primarily the Midlothian corridor between County Line Road to the west to the Powhite to the east. Incredibly grateful for everybody in those organizations, from the board down to the individual members. It's a great group. I'm fortunate to be a part of that group, and also want to sincerely thank the chambers and the county as well for really the leadership that they've provided, the guidance, the support for our organization, in particular Dr. Casey and Danielle. I mean, you've both been wonderful, and our association greatly appreciates it. And I will echo Brian's thoughts about the Board of Supervisors as well. Just our county, our businesses, we have such tremendous leadership, and the Midlothian Business Alliance is really just happy to be one part of this big team. And it's my pleasure to introduce Elliot Faust with the Chester Business Association.
Thank you, Frank. My name is Elliot Faust with the Chester Business Association, and it's an honor to be here with you all tonight. I want to thank you for inviting me, Dr. Casey and Danielle, and appreciate all the work that you all have done this year. It's been a year first for everybody, I think, and say that pretty easily. One thing in the notes didn't think would happen in a million years is I work for Citizens Bank and Trust, and never did I think that I would encourage people to wear a mask into a bank on a daily basis and do business with us. But here we are. You know, it's just one of those things that we got to deal with this year. But I'm hopeful for the future. We got a lot of bright spots happening in the Chester area, in particular the Baxter Perkinson Center for the Arts and Education is on the cusp of opening finally after a long road. And we're ready for the curtains to finally be drawn back, and we want to make sure that everybody is going to be there to join us and participate with us when we can safely. And I think we're almost there. So I just want to stay positive about this whole process and the lights at the end of the tunnel. And we're going to continue to keep working and fighting, and we're going to get through this, everybody. And again, I want to make sure that everybody stays involved with the community and continues to get out there and be a part of it safely and support your restaurants, because those are the folks that are really hurting the most. Get carry out, stop in, pick something up, just do everything that you possibly can to help our restaurant community. So without further ado, I'd hand it back over to Danielle.
Thank you, Elliot. Next, I'm going to give a brief introduction. I'm very honored to be able to introduce Dr. Casey. He's been the Chesterfield County Administrator since 2016 and has unique regional connections with his prior tenures as Deputy County Administrator in both Henrico and Hanover counties, dating back to his first role in local government back in 1990. Dr. Casey holds degrees from both University of Richmond and VCU and is a certified public accountant who started his career at KPMG accounting firm. While the role of county administrator keeps him engaged with many community meetings, he also participates in many community and mission-based projects with his wife and family. He is truly a servant leader, accessible to all. Thank you, Dr. Casey.
Well, thank you, Danielle, and thank you really to the four friends that are on this dais here with me. I really appreciate everything that you've done. Again, this is different. Usually I am the guest speaker at a luncheon that the Chamber hosts with 300 plus people, and that is not happening this year. But we'd like to turn over our board meeting room to you, and I still feel as a guest amongst you. So again, thank you for being here. I do think that having the four business associations come together as one for this annual event, live and in person, is heartwarming. I could have simply filmed this in a studio and had some fancy pictures and videos intertwined with it and made it look picture perfect and sent it out as a YouTube video or whatnot, but the accountability that comes with being live and in person with you, to me and my ethics and my profession, is something that is real and accountable to be here with you, socially distanced with me, of course, and with our few special invited, spatially face-covered guests as well. So again, thank you to all of you in the audience, in particular, Board of Supervisor members and leaders of our business associations. I'm so proud of all of you here during these times, because you in the audience and the collective audience that is watching actually has given us great ideas, and the board's support for many of the proposals that you have brought before us. While this event looks different than prior years, there's much to talk about. And I also hope this message will reach a broader audience and allow those that might not otherwise have been able to join us an opportunity to hear about what's happening and what's happening next. The views for many of us have changed over the last year, from office to home, from large events to small gatherings, from teacher to Chromebook, from face-to-face to 6 feet apart wearing a facial mask. But one view has not changed, and that is the ability to see our citizens and businesses resolve themselves to succeed and help their fellow neighbor along the way. In fact, "and" is a recurring theme in this presentation, as we no longer do anything one way or alone, even though we're more virtual or further apart. Speaking of view changes, the intro picture is the view from our office of the recent high-quality commercial and town bank development. So that's our view, actually, from the offices of the Chesterfield County complex. And we are fortunate to have those businesses here. We remain committed to delivering high-quality programs and services, and all while dealing with the effects of COVID. We never stopped and never slowed down. While COVID may have reprioritized some work initially, we found a way to work through COVID and continue to provide day-to-day operations, serving our diverse customer base and accomplish new projects. while also developing and delivering solutions on issues never previously identified. Our workforces remain responsive to delivering services, figuring out new and innovative ways. My experience in prior recessionary conditions is that it's not the time to look busy, it's the time to be busy. Regionally, we worked quickly to have a uniform mantra, open with reduced operations. We weren't going to lose the word open from our vocabulary. The operations we reduced in many cases were temporary, and we maximized the essential services and areas through redeployment of idle resources. For those remaining idle resources, we made the quick and hard business decisions that many of you in the business communities have made to furlough employees. However, over 51% of our positions are now returned as we were able to reinstate certain services as permitted by state executive orders. As a 24/7 people business, we persevered and identified ways in which we could continue serving our customers without interruption. It's been 270 plus days since the second week in March. I think we all can remember that week clearly. College basketball conference playoffs, NBA, and NHL games were all being canceled around us at the middle of the week. School closings, 24/7 COVID news, which has not changed, by the way. I can still picture the tweet I got from the Washington Capitals March 12th that said their morning practice was canceled. Then another 3 hours later, getting another tweet that the game had been canceled. I remember that so much so because I was planning on taking my son as a birthday present to that game, a birthday present that hopefully we can get to see for his next birthday. Since then, we provided information and social media posts for all to see about COVID. I myself provide a daily update of COVID and the economic impacts to many, including many people with me here today and many people watching. We've seen so many ways of how COVID health data is reported, but I'll focus on two charts not often seen. This data is for our health district, which includes 3 localities, as getting Chesterfield-only information has been a challenge. The first shows the number of deaths by age group, and second shows distribution by age group as percent of total cases and deaths. What is clear is that no one age group is immune from COVID, and that our older adults are the most vulnerable to death. As we just passed 10,300 cumulative positive cases locally, we have had 139 deaths. But we have also had over 9,800 people, citizens of Chesterfield, who can thankfully say in the past tense that they have had COVID, recovered, and hopefully and likely are immune from COVID going forward. Just today, we added 100 new cases, but no additional deaths. Many days are fortunately like that, with many new cases, but with no new deaths. We've asked the state many times, but have been denied in getting immune system-related deaths. If we were able to get such statistics, I'm sure you would see even higher correlations of deaths to age and immune system issues. Therefore, please continue your best to be protecting these vulnerable populations. Finally, we've tried our best under federal and state guidelines and processes regarding availability of testing of our employees and our citizens. And we also will do our best when it comes to vaccination programs for roles to be assigned to us, again, by federal and state authorities. And at the outset of COVID, we braced for severe economic impacts. Our initial unemployment claims spiked the first week of April at 5,700 new claims filed. But we just had our lowest week since then at 166, and we are getting closer to pre-COVID levels. For continuing claims, we spiked in mid-May at historically high 16,000 claims. But since then, lowering every week with us down to 2,500 now. Our most recent unemployment rate from October was also its lowest since COVID at 4.8%. Again, all these numbers are higher than we want or tolerate, but are also at levels that many other places in the United States would view as a good economy pre-COVID. However, we are not like other places, and we will continue to partner with our businesses in filling their existing job needs, create new jobs, and provide the training needed to best position our impacted citizens for success. Over the past year, our Economic Development Department has had many small but important success stories. It has also been part of a larger successes with 3 companies that invested or plan to invest $86 million in creating over 290 jobs. COVID has certainly presented very difficult challenges for some members of our community, and the county remains committed to finding ways to assist those in need. Mental health immediately began taking telehealth calls to continue serving some of our most vulnerable citizens. Prevention services launched CALM, Connected Caring Chesterfield. We also expanded the telephone reassurance program for seniors who may be alone and self-isolating. We suspended disconnections for water and sewer services and eliminated penalties and interest more than anyone regionally on delinquent bills for water, sewer, personal property, and lodging taxes for many, many months. We recognize the precious dollar of a household or business. In addition, through care funds, we were able to offer up 4 months of relief for income-qualifying households that were negatively affected by COVID, serving 121 households, averaging $2,900 in relief assistance per household. And even with these adverse job impacts, something amazing is happening here. Throughout our local economy has been resilient and grown. Weekly building applications are at 500 per week, and building inspections 2,500 per week, both at pre-COVID pace. The median sales price for a single home in October reached $312,000, nearly 15% higher than last year, and for the last quarter, highest in the region. People appear to be selling their homes quickly, at list price, and the only complaint I hear about is very low one-month inventory levels of new and existing homes available, even with high building inspection activity. And our sales tax collections have averaged more than 12% growth in the last 4 months. Common sense says it's a combination of a good local economy with increased local demand of teleworkers staying here rather than commuting out. While many commuters still come into the county for jobs that make products or produce services still being consumed, with many companies producing at a much higher levels for much-needed goods or services. This results in higher demands for goods from Chesterfield and online sales to those living here. We are now better understanding our dynamic workforce and the purchasing power of our citizens and businesses. My proposed budget back in February was a result of many, many months of work with many, many people, including school officials and Deputy County Administrator Matt Harris at the helm. However, a few weeks later, that proposal was irrelevant. In a matter of days, an entire new budget that was $52 million less was proposed, with caution even attached to it. In retrospect, this approach has yielded large savings in the prior fiscal year and current fiscal year, as we have learned how to operate efficiently, different, yet effectively. With our AAA rating and historic low rates, we have refinanced all eligible debt and issued new debt for new school projects at rates less than 2%. As a result of all these strategies, due diligence, and forecasting tools, through the next fiscal year, we are proposing a mid-year adjustment next week to the Board of Supervisors. If approved, we will be making the largest single investment in public safety pay in the county's history, as well as an additional investment in our workforce, equipment, and infrastructure. These investments will be further addressed later in the presentation. And throughout, the county has continued to support our business community and promote economic development opportunities, as referenced by some of my colleagues here today. One example to highlight: last year, Shameen Hotels announced plans for a significant investment through multiple projects, and in June, opened a new Residence Inn in Midlothian. When I visited the hotel as part of their virtual opening with just a few invited spatial face-covered guests, I met some guests of the hotel who were there for a healthcare-related business with them and many of their colleagues, and they told me that they would be staying there for many, many months with their company to serve in the area. I'm hoping the next time that I see them, they will no longer be visitors, but a new company locating here. Those are the positive business and real stories we don't hear as much as we should. We pride ourselves of being a business-friendly environment, no matter the situation we find ourselves in. We partnered with business associations for Relaunch Chesterfield, as was referenced, which facilitated conversations with business leaders about their needs and we turned our focus to safely reopening where and whenever possible. In addition, these same partnerships were instrumental in assisting the handout of signage, personal protective equipment, and other COVID safety materials for free to local businesses. All were involved, as the picture indicates, with our board chair, Leslie Haley, and Tyler Community College, Fred Taylor. And we set aside $5 million in federal CARES Act funding to support local business. This Back in Business Grant Program has distributed funds in 2 rounds thus far and expects to exhaust these funds in the 3rd round that recently closed. The multiple rounds reflect what were initial thoughts of being overwhelmed in the 1st round with applications. Because of limited eligibility under federal guidelines, we thought we had to constrain such programs. However, this speaks to the strength of our local businesses and their sustainability. And $1.9 million has been awarded to child care facilities, which have been adversely impacted by spatial requirements at 50% capacity, and many of them needing the technology investments to serve the school's virtual learning program that they had started with and are in today. And working with LISC Virginia, we launched the Micro Enterprise Relief Fund, providing businesses with 5 or fewer employees grants for payroll, rent, utilities, vendor bills, and other COVID-related expenses. And when restaurants were forced to adapt fast, so were we. Together with the business associations, we developed Chesterfield Eats to Go, which launched in March. Now over 200 businesses are registered for this MAP application that displays local restaurants with takeout, delivery, and outdoor dining options. And we were the regional leader in getting a clear, singular sign that Richmond Regional Tourism under Jack Berry's leadership created to show takeout and delivery options at restaurants that would otherwise look closed with an empty parking lot. And we were the state leader in working with ABC for a coordinated online local permit program and for the ABC to have revised guidelines and approvals to enable outdoor dining to expand into sidewalks and parking lots to maximize the 50% capacity constraints outside safely. And again, I want to give credit to the ABC for helping us in that endeavor and to our technology folks with the one-stop online portal that was 24/7. And I'm hearing more and more about businesses that also see this purchasing power not traveling as far for what people need or want, and taking advantage of lower commercial space here compared to higher prices elsewhere. Previously, the Boyd Company recognized Chesterfield as the top location on the East Coast and one of the best places in the nation for logistics-related business. A new Boyd 2020 report identifies Chesterfield as a top 25 location for back-office operations in the nation, representing solid support of professional jobs in the county. And the craft brewery market is increasing all across the county, with the recent Dancing Kilt opening near Chester and the planned triple crossing at Winterfield Crossing, and Hidden Wit breaking ground this summer off Hull Street. Together with existing craft breweries and wineries, a local trip can now be as hip as a longer trip elsewhere. And another example is Midlothian Chef's Kitchen, which the former executive chef at the Cork Hotel will be opening early next year. Chef Dunlop's wisdom on the screen here does not go unheard. We all are in a moment that enables Chesterfield to shine in all of its pride and glory for the quality of life attributes that have attracted many to live here, to now also work here, even if teleworking, and to now consume the goods and services here in higher quantities than ever before. And yet, another example is the Gather Midlothian co-working space that just opened in Winterfield Crossing and the one Westcott Connection opening in 2021. This residential development transforms the traditional neighborhood clubhouse into a place where citizens can telework and collaborate together in shared space or private conference rooms. Teleworking and the role of shared collaborative workspaces will remain an integral part of professional life beyond COVID here in Chesterfield County. We are showing workers that they can live here with easy access to co-working spaces, surrounded by amenities and high-speed internet. And we are doing all of this with quality as 2 developments were honored by the Greater Richmond Association for Commercial Real Estate. The Jane at Moores Lake Apartments was named the top multifamily project, and Island Shrimp Company and its adjoining Casa del Barco were named the top retail prospects. And we have seen great success in Meadowville Technology Park. As we are looking at 2021 and beyond, we are actively pursuing opportunities for new investment to continue replicating this product. The high-tech and advanced manufacturing companies are working harder than ever before, and Meadowville has proven to be resilient during this time, providing essential supplies to the community: bottled water, medical supplies, online goods, data centers. And this year, we found new ways to work on behalf of citizens, and many of those adaptations will remain in place even post-COVID. As you can tell in the picture, even I realized early on that I was spending the entire day talking to a screen, while I respected everybody who wanted to meet with me that way. But I also needed to test the waters of teleworking at home to get comfortable that meetings can be productive and really show others that it can be done. While that's not my preference of how to meet people and do business, I respect those wanting to meet with me in such virtual fashions. While 4 of our public libraries reopened as soon as they could safely in June, and others will be opening in January, the advent of curbside services may be here to stay. I want to personally thank our frontline library staff with pioneering this concept, and it's a great day when out-of-area and out-of-state localities call upon us to learn more. And all of our libraries started the school year offering learning pods for reservation, and also our teleworkers needing Wi-Fi in a quiet, productive environment with the expanded library hours to meet the school day or the workday. With the powerful Wi-Fi of our libraries further enhanced to be available outside the building 24/7, we are transforming the ability of a library to connect people to learning and business opportunities. In a related fashion, we worked with the YMCA in our schools faster than anyone around in positioning 5 high schools to serve as student success centers to enable a low-cost, high-speed environment and safe space for up to 500 students to virtually learn under the care and attention of the YMCA, and I'm forever grateful to TJ Joyce, recently retired from the YMCA. And let's just throw a presidential election into the year as well to test our resolve to serve. Our register led an incredible effort as citizens voted in record numbers via early voting in person and absentee ballots. We established early voting locations at all 4 of our libraries, as well as the registrar's office, to keep up with the demands of over 145,000 early voters. Again, we were leaders in the region and elsewhere in recognizing the value of our libraries as an institution that would be suitable for early voting. Also, redeploying the talents of our skilled library staff and other employees to also be trained as election workers was a natural fit. And on Election Day itself, our 80 precincts performed well for the nearly 6,000 voters for a record total of over 204,000 votes cast. And we needed to supply our workers the technology needed to successfully make the largest and fastest shift in our history. But this shift was not an exercise in trying to maintain the status quo, but to be even more productive. We listened to our employees about their needs, and for those with flexible demands upon their time, for them to select when their 40 hours per week best worked for them personally and for their customers. With these flexible hours, and with the increased web portal utilization, we have increased our capacity to provide services 24/7. We also can better mobilize many faster, having our first virtual emergency operations center during weather-related events this summer. And we are looking at all manners to determine what services we can perform on what we once called snow day closings or delays. And as an example of 24/7, we early implemented some portals of our community development's new system and will be shortly turning on the entire system. This is one of the most robust systems in Virginia to help facilitate an efficient and effective development review for customers to submit online payments, applications, and plans, saving them thousands in pre-printed costs of paper. And for the public, most importantly, to also better see the status of applicant cases. This system will be further complemented by our commitment to review and revise our zoning ordinances to reflect how people live, work, and play in 2020 and beyond. With COVID and controlling for costs, our ability to engage with citizens, businesses, and consultants has been limited. However, certain ordinances changes have occurred already, and others are planned soon. And with small groups selected for sessions to gather input and other citizen outreach programs, our commitment is apparent. And we are taking our public utility customer system far with advanced metering infrastructure. This new technology will allow customers to review in real time their water consumption, giving them the data to make sure that they have informed decisions about water use and conservation. In addition, customers will be able to set up usage notifications through online portals to receive text alerts on their phone about potential leaks, whether they are at home or traveling. And we know we're a great place to live, work, and play, but we don't want citizens to miss out on what many of us know already. Now, all citizens that move to or within Chesterfield receive welcome letters from the Board of Supervisors and the county. These letters provide a brief overview of some of the county's most vital services and directs them to our new At a Glance webpage, which is a digital roadmap to the county's resources, ranging from our weekly e-news and volunteer opportunities, which are essential to the county, to utilities, recycling, transportation services, and much, much more. I know some who have lived here their entire life that have also benefited from such easy-to-understand information. And prior to COVID, we were able to host the first My Chesterfield Academy in partnership with the Asian and Latino Solidarity Alliance of Central Virginia and hosted the first class in the region with that institution. And we hosted a Latino Police Academy, all in Spanish. These academies help empower citizens, especially those from multicultural communities, navigate our government, connect with community resources, and engage with our police officers. As I told these groups, I work for them, and for anyone that calls Chesterfield home, I call them a citizen of Chesterfield. To show our commitment to this topic, we have provided more direct staff support roles to continue strengthening our community relationships and engagement efforts through all segments of our population. And as each of us has re-examined the pervasiveness of discrimination in our society, we continued to lead. As one example, we led a regional partnership to support those who may be facing discrimination by developing the Know Your Rights and Resources webpage. This webpage connects citizens with a wide variety of anti-discrimination resources and the organizations across a range of categories, including civil rights, age, disabilities, employment, housing, and more. And to further this important topic, we are also leading by revamping the way our citizens can find information on reporting complaints about our employees or suspected incidents of fraud, waste, or abuse. These complaints can be filed confidentially via hotline, by phone, email, or online. And the one website portal being designed now also will help citizens submit complaints about code compliance, matters of concern to those in social services, police, or other departments. I have not seen anywhere else such a coordinated effort to make this process easy for the citizen and cover the array of concerns that they may have for us to professionally and ethically respond to. And good business never stops asking their customers what they think, and we're no different. We've done a national template survey every 3 years, and while past results have been very positive compared to our peers across the country, we'll be doing another survey next year. This survey helps us better understand our citizens and their assessment of how we're doing on delivering programs and services throughout the community. And our public safety workers are among those who have not stopped working on the front lines this year, and we have taken important steps to ensure that they are fully resourced and feel supported moving into the 2021 and beyond. Together with our scaled down and in many places this year, CURBSIDE National Night Out, we still earned recognition as one of the most citizen-engaged and supported national night outs in the country. And next week, the Board of Supervisors will take action to consider a budget amendment that would make a $13.5 million investment in our public safety workforce, the largest in our history and region's history. Earlier this year, a third-party firm conducted a study of our sworn public safety personnel with compression by far the biggest issue, especially our long-tenured, highly skilled personnel. By April, we will have implemented this study 100% and removed once and for all the word compression from our public safety employees' vocabulary. And this funding could not have been achieved without the combined efforts of our budget staff in leveraging the reduced budget from last March to revise conservative base revenue assumptions, and the efforts of our public safety leaders and board of supervisors in recognizing this as the #1 priority ahead of other legitimate needs. Going forward, they will also help by leveraging in the public safety leadership roles their annual departmental budget savings back into reserves for the continuum of goals, again, to negate the word of compression from coming back into our vocabulary. And to further improve the public safety and security of our community, we continue to centralize the word public in public safety. Fortunately, our police department was able to safely host its most recent Citizens Police Academy, which gives citizens the opportunity to receive a firsthand look at what it means to be a Chesterfield police officer. We also had a few state delegation officials attend, and we are grateful for that. At the October Board of Supervisors meeting, a graduate of that program, King Goldman, said that the death of George Floyd in May inspired him to become involved in the conversations occurring between our police and our community members. After he reached out to Colonel Katz, he was encouraged to participate in the next Citizens Academy. Mr. Goldman gave a very powerful testimony of his experience. Here's a 2-minute segment from his presentation to the board.
Now, here's it. This every citizen, man, if you have the opportunity, you can go through this simulation, right? They got a simulation thing that's called Milo. That's great in itself, right? But then we had to go through the scenarios, the same scenarios that the officers go through. Man, that'll break you. That will break you. Listen, I wasn't against officers or anything, you know. I'm about, community building. But going through these scenarios, you understand that being a person on the couch, you really don't understand. When you see these little bits of what's happening in the news, it's only a fragment. Because I went through the scenario, and you know from the jump that the scenario, nobody's going to get hurt. You know this, that no one's going to get hurt. However, when the stress of that moment sit on you, you have decisions to make. The first scenario, I don't want to blow it because you guys may go, right? But the first scenario, it was rough. I'm going to just tell you that it was a person that was having a mental health crisis. In that scenario, I got shot. I got shot in the scenario, right? And so you hit it. And then there's another surprise in this. I ain't going to try to blow it. There's another surprise in the scenario. And all I could think about, although this was a play thing, all I could think about was self-preservation. And so I made decisions. And after I finished the scenario, man, I'm in tears and everything, man. I'm broke, right? And so I'm going home. I'm crying to my wife. I'm processing. It's just I'm a mess, man, like 2 or 3 days after these scenarios, right? And so, but I recognized in processing, I made decisions. But just because I made decisions based on what I was feeling, it doesn't mean that I was right. I never tried to help. I never tried to serve. I tried to preserve my life. It was definitely it was an eye-opening experience, man. It gives you more of an empathetic posture toward these men and ladies that serve in our community like this. It's an amazing thing.
Thank you, Mr. Goldman, for letting us use this video today to just showcase what you are as a citizen, your truth and honesty to the county, to the police department. And I look forward to seeing you and interacting with you many times over my career here in Chesterfield County. I also encourage those watching to watch the entire video on our website. And again, it's something that just shows you that the testimony of a citizen is honest and sincere, and it's one of the most powerful testimonials, quite frankly, I've ever seen. Yesterday, the Magnolia Green Fire Station started running calls and will be fully open next week. The station will fulfill a need for one of our fastest growing communities, ensuring that we can quickly assist those in need. And due to our Helping Addicts Recover Progressively, HARP, the acronym program, we were one of only 16 localities and the only one in Virginia selected to take part in the Department of Justice's Building Bridges initiative. This initiative focuses on medication-assisted treatment and a continuum of care model that links jail and community resources, including mental health support services, drug court, employment opportunities, and continued treatment. As Sheriff Leonard says, this program is intensive and demanding, but by treating addiction as a disease rather than a crime, HARP has helped participants lead sober lives and has proven to reduce recidivism rates. And I'm looking forward to post-COVID when I can get back in the jail and see many of the good programs of HARP and its inmates. It would be easy during these times to put on hold infrastructure maintenance and needed improvements. However, as lessons learned from the past is that stewardship on this topic requires you to maintain what you have and continue to plan and build what is needed. And with our AAA bond rating and historic low interest rates, capital financing costs are also at very low rates and can be integrated into our financial planning models for debt issuance. In August, we experienced historic flooding that caused us to declare a local state of emergency. And while we are grateful for our public safety teams for helping keep citizens safe, we knew we had to reassess how we could help mitigate these dangers in the future. That resulted in $30 million in bonds for road and drainage improvements throughout the county. A significant portion of these funds will be specifically addressed to flooding along the crossings of Otterdale Road. We plan to share our plans with the public in spring 2021 and hold community meetings shortly thereafter. This community becomes an island when flooding arises on either side of them, and it is happening far, far too often. We cannot, in Chesterfield County, have islands arise anywhere anymore. And we are not just improving the flooding issues on Otterdale Road. From Route 360 to Woolridge Road, Otterdale Road will be widened from 2 to 4 lanes to improve both safety and traffic capacity for thousands daily. With the recently established Central Virginia Transportation Authority, we will soon get 50% of our own incremental sales and gas taxes generated back to invest in county projects, and have access to the overall 35% share of the region's incremental taxes for much-needed projects. Finally, 15% of the region's incremental taxes pivots GRTC to be fully funded to provide the services warranted and not subject to local budget constraints. Examples of 2 of the many projects that are going from long-term plans to active projects are the extension of Woolridge Road, 1.2 miles shown in the yellow on the screen, from Route 288 to Old Hundred Road, and extending Powhite to Woolridge, that's the white dotted line below that. These 2 projects should make the drives easier for thousands of drivers daily, with construction hopefully starting in 2023. And these regional partners have come together for more than roads. The recently named Fall Line Trail will eventually enable someone to bike from the southern boundary of Chesterfield at Virginia State University 43 miles to Ashland, or just to locally bike, run, or walk within Chesterfield. For the areas that the Fall Line traverse here and potential connecting trails Chesterfield is also doing along the way, this presents a unique opportunity for economic and recreational growth along these trail routes here in Chesterfield. And 3 years ago, we embarked on a mission to develop a robust data program from a vast selection of data sets from internal and external sources. Called Strategic Information Sharing, or STRATUS for short, it leveraged cloud-based technology for predictive analysis and modeling, including student generation based on area-specific geographies, helping define future capacity facility investment. As a data-driven person in my public or private career, even as a CPA, this is one of the most impressive products that I have ever seen, and not aware of another locality with such a program. As this becomes a public product, we're hoping citizens and businesses can help make decisions best for them and provide us input for additional metrics to help them. And our board's commitment to major maintenance resulted in an historic $67 million investment in schools, including HVAC replacement and various exterior, interior, and site improvements. Quality of life, QOL, may mean something different to different people, but there is no wrong definition as we listen to all of our citizens. While we've been recognized as a high QOL community, we are not resting on those laurels. As needs and wants from citizens evolve and change, so must we. And for many, having a high-caliber performing arts center is part of their QOL definition. With the recently completed Perkinson Arts Center, the nonprofit foundation is working hard to determine what can be done during COVID, and more importantly, post-COVID. Until then, as the theater tradition goes, a single stage light stays on to show that this theater is alive, and it's a great example of a public-private partnership. And QOL means people come together to serve their fellow citizen. As an example, Chesterfield Food Bank has been such an incredible resource. In a pre-COVID world, they were serving 250 families during their Friday night distribution. Now it is easily over 500 families weekly. Their success and ability to provide our citizens a direct reflection of our supportive and giving community. And QOL is also providing new technologies to help citizens enjoy their day, and with COVID, long walks become the go-to for many. Our new trail apps help citizens know where these long and scenic walks can occur, and many are conducting their virtual business calls along the way and getting their steps in. And QOL provides amenities for visitors to use, but all citizens to enjoy as well. We've seen a lot of success at River City and continue to remain competitive. All new amenities and features are now open, including bathrooms, additional fields, concessions, and additional paid parking. And next actions hopefully include stadium seating for 2,000 spectators. Again, that would be post-COVID, of course, and continued turf replacement. This keeps this facility amongst the best on the East Coast for tournaments, but also for our citizens to enjoy. And QOL means recognizing the value that nature has provided us and offering very accessible and unique products for citizens to further engage with nature. With 2 rivers and large lakes, access to these scenic waterways is becoming more and more of a focus. We need to recognize what Mother Nature has given us and preserve and provide access to our citizens where possible, in addition to the mile of frontage we already own. For example, a new boat launch ramp from the historic Falling Creek connection to the James River is becoming an active project shortly. Together with the potential passive park amenities for land we own to the south, a great new destination will emerge. And last but not least is our schools. We're thrilled that all 2013 bond referendum projects will be open for students by fall of 2021. When done, we'll have 8 newly rebuilt schools, 1 new school, and 2 renovated schools via this referendum. This is perhaps the largest volume of new schools within such a short window in our history. And with Magnolia Green being the best-selling community in the region, we've accelerated plans for a new elementary school that recently held its groundbreaking to be completed in the fall of 2022. As noted previously, this area just opened a fire station, has received and will receive many road improvements. And when feasible, certain old elementary schools being replaced have more life in them. An example is Old Beulah being converted to Parks and Recreation headquarters with a large community center as part of it. Another will be Old Harrogate Elementary School, which in perhaps the first of its kind in Virginia will become a pre-K center for 480 students capacity. This is win-win with dedicated services concentrated in one place that should position these students, and future students that is, better for elementary school success, and these students otherwise were consuming precious elementary school space elsewhere in over 25 classrooms in the area that can now be dedicated for K-5 students. If successful, this will be a model for other parts of the county and other localities to follow. And we are committed to taking care of our collective workforce. With the successful completion and implementation strategies of the Public Safety Pay Study, the next homework assignment is to work with the school board in regard to their teacher pay study, recently completed. The results of the study are currently being reviewed with the same due diligence that we reviewed our Public Safety Pay Study, with budget strategies, with school resources, and priority setting above other school initiatives, new positions, and capital projects possibly, to determine how best that this pay study can be included in the school financial plans to be woven into the county's financial plans. In keeping with my tradition, I like to end with the same local no-cost or low-cost gift ideas that can be impactful to others for enriching you or your family. The Tacky Light Run is now being done over many days spatially. Animal adoption or supplies is always there 24/7 throughout the year for you. The Libby app, which I'm surprised many don't know about, is an online resource that can go right to your phone for audiobooks and all of our online library materials, free. Chesterfield Food Bank volunteering, or the Sheriff's Memorial contribution to construct an overdue recognition to the 4 sheriff deputies killed in the line of duty since 1786, when Sheriff Branch died and was recognized as the first local law enforcement official line of death in the country. We want to hopefully get that Memorials Foundation created with enough funds to construct such memorials sooner than later. For my family who may be watching at home and my mother in New Jersey who may be watching on YouTube, feel free to give me any of those gifts this year's Christmas. I will end simply by saying we are trying to do our best this asterisk year, and I appreciate all that you have done as well. That is what makes us special. Stepping up to the challenges, no matter how big, is what Chesterfield does best. Also, I could not be prouder to be part of this team with all those that have helped every day, including the Board of Supervisors and many senior officials, all the way down to every single employee that I met and greeted along the way, now who is behind a face mask when I see him. I do look forward to the time when my COVID beard is gone, because it does serve as a reminder every day that things are not normal, and my wife also may look forward to that day as well. And I can shake your hand and hopefully sit down with all of you face-to-face, with many others, to continue Chesterfield's First Choice Community moniker. I'll leave you with a quick QR code that you see on the screen here to access, quite frankly, this 2020 presentation and related video highlights. Many are using these QR codes, I know, in restaurants, so might as well use it for State of the County presentations as well. But a lot of information is behind that symbol for you to access many of the things we talked about today. As always, we're here for any questions or comments that you may have, so please do reach out to us in the future. And now I will turn it back over to Danielle for any final comments on behalf of the business associations. Thank you, and thank everybody, and have a safe and a happy holiday.
As you can see, it doesn't take one of us. It takes each of us doing our part as we move forward. We are in this together through 2021 and beyond. Thank you.